So, without further ado, we will be beginning the first session. This session will be on the theme of Towards a Greener Future, Trends and Opportunities in Decarbonization. So, of course, now I'd like to bring our panelists for this session to the stage. So we're going to start off with our first one, Mr. Murat Aktihanoglu, Remarkable Ventures Climate Managing Partner. Would you please give them a round of applause? 皆様、拍手でお迎えください。All right, thank you very much. Next up, Mr. K. Ikegami from Planet Savers Incorporated, founder and CEO. All right, thank you. And last but not least, of course, our intrepid moderator, Ms. Mari Yoshitaka from Virtue Design Representative Director. Okay, so Mari-san, if you are ready to go, I will hand the mic over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming this panel discussion. It's very early morning. And so this session is that the title is Towards a Greener Future, Trends and Opportunities in Decarbonization. So I'm Mari, I'm your moderator today. So as well, we know reaching the net zero emission requires a massive economics and technological transformation. And within that transformation lies extraordinary opportunities for innovation, investment, and global collaboration. So today we are joined by the two experts from the front lines of that innovation and investment. Welcome. And then Ikegami, CEO of Planet Savers, and then Mr. Murat. So you are actually surname is a very difficult to pronounce. How do you pronounce?
Yes, Aktihanoglu.
Okay,
Right,
thank you. So firstly, we ask you to the brief self-introduction and maybe Mr. Murat. Okay.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, and I've been coming to these conferences for the past 4 years, from City Tech Tokyo to Sushi Tech. So it's amazing how much it really grew a lot. So congratulations to Tokyo government and JETRA in Japan. So we are a VC fund in New York City. We invest in AI, healthcare, but also we have a climate fund. So we've been investing for 15 years. We invested in 375 companies. And with our climate funds, we started investing 2 years ago. We have LPs such as SMBC, Mitsubishi Electric in our climate fund. So I come to Japan 6 to 8 times a year. And I lived in Japan 20 years ago, and my wife is Japanese, so I love Japan. I love the food and the people. So it's great to be here, and I'm very excited to see Japan becoming a leader in climate technologies in the world.
Thank you, Murat. Actually, I'm involved in climate finance more than 20 years now, but in Japan, there are not so many climate tech funds. I'm very happy to be with you. Okay, then Mr. K, please self-introduce.
スライドを投影していただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
We cannot see it.
スタッフの方すいません。スライド投影いただいてもよろしいでしょうか。Okay. So good morning. I'm Ikegami, CEO and founder of Planet Savers. So we are trying to save the planet with innovative carbon removal tech. And I myself is still an entrepreneur with energy background. And in my team, we have Kenta, who is associate professor at University of Tokyo. So we are leveraging their cutting-edge technology to synthesize solvent for the CO2. And we have some experts in the team. And what we are doing is a technology called direct capture. Direct capture, so who knows about direct capture here? Okay, I think around half. So yeah, that's a good number. So direct capture is technology to capture CO2 from atmosphere. So radically challenging the climate change. by offsetting CO2, which is already emitted. And we are developing this technology as Japan's first startup. And why we need this technology is because, in order to achieve net zero, we need the solution like this because there will be some emissions even in 2050 because it's quite difficult for some industries to reduce CO2 emissions. So we need the technology to capture CO2 from atmosphere and offset this remaining balance. And in order to innovate this technology, we are trying to develop the CO2 solvent and also the machine to capture CO2. So we are using the solvent called zeolite. Zeolite is actually kind of material existing even in Japan. This is zeolite, and it's a porous material like this. So, so molecule frame of zeolite is kind of porous material, and it can capture CO2 physically here. And then we can vacuum the CO2 out using the machine and make it dense, and either store it or recycle it for the carbon utilization. And with our technology, we don't require heat, we don't require water, very cheap, and also it's very safe. So that's the innovation we are trying to make. And we have already built some bench scale system. And this year we are going to do a prototype, and hopefully we can do some commercialization testing next year. And we have raised some funds, and yeah, we will achieve net zero with our gigaton size direct capture system by 2050. So that's a brief intro. Thank you for listening, and yeah, I'm very happy to talk.
Thank you, Kei. So I know that I know technology, but still it's ongoing stage. Today, so Murat is climate venture capitals, and Kei is a more advanced technology startups. So I'm very excited to have such a discussion. And now moving to some deep discussion. And Murat, please share the outlook for the climate change globally from the possible investors. What are the key drivers of net zero economy, and how are they shaping today's climate investment landscape? Yes, please.
Great. Thank you so much. So in the past 5 years, climate technologies have now improved so much that there is no more a green premium for a clean net zero solution. For example, it used to cost more to have a solar panel in your home. But right now, the cheapest form of energy in the world is solar. And solar became so efficient that there is no more political divides. Like it used to be that more liberal people, progressive people liked solar energy. But last year, Texas installed the most number of solar panels in the US, even more than California. So first of all, climate tech solutions, which are net zero, are becoming very affordable, even cheaper than other options. The second, climate technologies are solving real problems. In the US right now, there's a big demand for energy. Data centers, AI is requiring a lot of energy. And the US grid cannot deliver enough energy. So we are solving this using software, AI. Also, we are using it by batteries, energy storage. So right now, climate technologies became something we need to survive. Instead of we want to be net zero, we want to save the world. So climate technologies are solving real problems. So one thing amazing is this. In the US, we are seeing the smartest people, the best people with the best skills, they are switching to climate sector. They come to us and they say, I want to get into climate. How can I do it? So we are seeing like the best people, the smartest people with the best experience changing from finance and other areas, from crypto into climate, So that gives me a lot of hope. At the same time, there is a lot of uncertainty about some government policies, which is causing longer timelines, and some difficulties for climate founders. For example, here we have a great technology, and until recently, the governments around the world supported this, but now there's some friction. So we believe that 2025, this year, is the best year to invest in climate technologies because generalist investors are moving away from climate right now. In the growth stage, they stopped investing in climate, which is a huge mistake. So we are doubling down. We made 7 investments, and we are making our 8th investment this week. And we are really increasing our pace of investing because right now is the best time in the universe, in all of history of mankind, to invest in climate tech.
Wow, that's good news. In general, I have so many seminars, lectures, and business people, and then now because of the current U.S. president's policy, the climate finance is going down and so on. So, but as you mentioned, that the reality is not that
Exactly.
right. Okay, thank you very much. And about the solars in Japan, because we don't have many land.
Yeah.
Right, and then the Japanese government now focusing on more offshore wind power.
Right.
So what do you think about such a offshore wind power?
Absolutely. So Japan coastline is very steep. So these offshore wind turbines need to be floating. They are like attached to the ground, but they need to be floating. So there are many new technology startups working on this new technology, which is very promising. And as you know, some government policies has now reversed against wind turbines, offshore winds in the US especially. But Japan has an opportunity to capture and build the best offshore wind turbine technologies right now. It's a great opportunity for Japan.
And also you mentioned about the storage, energy
Right.
storage. And then other than the offshore wind power, please explain with particular focus on the Japanese technology, if you have any.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Japan has always been the leader in materials innovation. And right now, Hitachi and other Japanese corporations are working on solid state batteries, which is really promising, shorter charge times and longer duration and higher capacity. So I think, again, Japan, by using the precision engineering that Japan is known for, can be the leader in batteries. But China has been building capacity for now 20 years in batteries. They are leading the world in battery technologies and capacity. So again, I think this is a chance for Japan to use innovation and precision engineering to come up with better technologies and lead the world.
Thank you. So, Kay, could you introduce more deeply your decarbonized solution that you mentioned, and then how deep tech is addressing climate change? Yeah.
Sure. So, one moment. So let me deep dive into our technology again. So, as I mentioned, what we develop is a technology called direct capture. It captures CO2 from atmosphere, and the point is, it is capturing CO2 from atmosphere, not the point source. For example, like factories or the power plants. Of course, there are emissions of CO2 from these kind of sources, but we are focused on atmosphere. The reason is because there are some industries, for example, like airplanes or like shippings or even the data centers. It's quite difficult to reduce all the emissions to zero for these industries because, for example, airplanes, it can't be fully electrified. If it's a small airplane, yes, there are some startups working on that. But for the big airplanes, like you exactly took, it's impossible, most probably, by mid-2050s when we have to achieve net zero to make it fully electrified. In that case, what we require is capturing CO2 from atmosphere, which is emitted from these industries, and offset it so that we can achieve net zero. And without that, as you know, recently the climate change is getting more serious. I mean, maybe most of you know, but it's almost like around 1.5 degrees since the Industrial Revolution plus. So we are really at the kind of last time to reverse the situation. So that's why we need not only the reducing CO2, but also having the radical solution like direct heat capture to offset and really achieve net zero. And how we are trying to make innovation with our technologies, this direct heat capture technology, you might feel it's like a kind of a very new technology, but it's been a while. So there had been a startup from 2008 in Europe and also the United States. However, because it was thought to be kind of a new technology and took a while, so it hadn't been fully developed till the late 2010s. So recently, it's been developed, and there are like 50 million 50 million tons of CO2 captured every year in some, 500,000 tons of CO2 captured in some plant will be released this year. But it's still very expensive. So, and also there are some issues. So we are trying to solve these issues with our innovative CO2 solvent called zeolite, and also the machine which is optimized for zeolite.
Okay, so I recently visited the carbon recycling factory for the Osaka Expo, and I observed the dark systems developed by the light. And it felt very real, actually. Before that, actually, this technology, it's like far away, But as you pointed out, the biggest challenge seems to be the high cost, What differentiates your technology from the other, dark system like light? And are there specific innovation that could significantly bring down the cost of, or improve scalability? Any biggest scaling barriers?
Yeah, thank you very much. So actually, we use different solvent from these existing DAC technology. Existing DAC technology uses a solvent called amine, which is a chemical material which captures CO2 with a chemical reaction. However, our technology, zeolite, is an inorganic material and porous material which captures CO2 physically. So it doesn't have a chemical reaction. So then what happens is, why current direct heat capture technology is expensive is because of this solvent. Because it's a chemical solvent, it requires a lot of energy to dissolve CO2. I mean, take the CO2 out from the solvent. They require, for example, like 900 degrees heat or 100 degrees steam. So it requires a lot of energy to produce this kind of heat or energy. But actually, our material, zeolite, is physical solvent. So it doesn't require a lot of energy to take CO2 out. We just require pressure difference. We don't require heat to dissolve CO2. And also, perhaps we can use the waste heat, low heat, to dissolve CO2, so we can lower the energy cost much more. And also, because the current solvent is organic material and chemical material, it is not durable. So it has to be exchanged like every year or less than a year. And also, the solvent itself is very expensive. So when we break down the cost of the direct heat capture, actually this solvent is very expensive. However, zeolite is existing naturally and also in organic material, which means it doesn't degrade that soon. So it can be durable for like 10 years. So we can reduce the solvent cost a lot more. And also we are trying to reduce other costs like machine cost, construction cost by the module duct system, which can utilize the supply chain in Japan already established. That's how we are trying to reduce the cost. And for the scalability, so when we do the scale up, one issue is how to produce our solvent with the mass production size. Because we are using some kind of special zeolite. So for the small size plant, we can produce these kind of materials soon, but it takes time to scale up. So we are trying to find a partner from now and trying to make it easy to scale up with a kind of special recipe. And also for the machine, at this moment, we can try to develop the machine with a kind of small OEM partner, but we need to find a scale-up partner which have a big supply chain globally. That's the issue.
Okay, so Murat, how do you evaluate his business? How do you have your perspective in this DAC technology?
It's very promising because DAC has always been very much needed. We cannot just reduce our carbon emissions because now we have to grab the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and get rid of it because we released so much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, so it's very much needed. With DAC, it's always been about scale because existing solutions are very tiny, like Climeworks in Iceland, so little. Like they work all year, they capture maybe 1 million cars of exhaust. So we need much more scalable solutions, which I think zeolite is very promising. And also it doesn't require any heat, no electricity, no water. The machine is the only issue. But I think if you partner with a large Japanese corporation, like I'm sure you are working with them, you can bring this scale into DAC. And DAC is so badly needed. It's one of these things we need that needs to be solved. So very promising.
So you mentioned that there are so many potential investors who interested in the DAC.
Many, yes.
Many.
So many.
Okay. Compared to the fusion nuclear or other.
Right. No, nuclear fusion is the amazing solution. When we have nuclear fusion, we'll stop working. Everything is solved. But getting there always is 20 years ahead. But now, in the US, some nuclear fusion companies are selling power purchase agreements, which means Microsoft bought a PPA from a nuclear fusion company for 2032. 7 years from now, this company said, we will sell you nuclear fusion energy. So it's promising, but nuclear fusion has to raise a lot of money. And in Japan, Kyoto Fusioneering is an amazing company. They do everything about nuclear fusion except the stellarator, the central unit. They do all the peripherals. And there's helium fusion, which is very promising. So I love nuclear fusion, but our fund is so small. They need to raise $2 billion, so we cannot invest in them.
Okay. Let's see. So you have invested in hundreds of early stage climate companies around the world. And how do you think that Japan can play a more important role in the global decarbonization ecosystems? Because at the COP28 in Dubai, I went there and I met some Japanese startups who mentioned that Middle Eastern investors were more active and open to the funding green technologies compared to Japan. And some even said it was easier to raise capital there than, So how do you see the investment environment in the Middle East, if you know that?
In the Middle East?
No, in Japan.
Japan. So first of all, as we all know, Japan is very, very good at deep tech, advanced technologies. All the universities in Japan, they create amazing technologies. And Japan is and the world's #1 expert in precision engineering and manufacturing. So Japan has to leverage materials research and also deep tech research, like what you are doing, and also utilize Japanese corporations' expertise in precision manufacturing and engineering. And I think there's a huge potential. But Japan needs to open more to the global markets. We cannot just focus on Japanese market. We have to really, from the start, we have to think globally. And also the Japanese VCs and corporate VCs, they need to take much more risk because there's so much potential that you invest in like 10 deep tech startups in the maybe Series C and A stage. And if one of them becomes successful, your fund can return like 10 times, which is an amazing number. So I think in Japan, we need to take the technologies from the universities. We need to commercialize them using CVCs and Japanese corporations, but we need to target the global markets. So I think Japan, as you are seeing right now, is organizing the largest climate conference in Asia. Koike-san allocated $1 billion to promote, clean technologies in Japan. There is a lot of potential, but right now we are lacking late-stage venture capital in Japan because there are very early IPOs on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, which is now being stopped starting next year. The rules are changing. But my recommendation after having been coming to Japan for 20 years is invest in deep tech technology commercialization, which is the seed stage and the A stage. Deploy more capital into Series B and C in the growth, but always take these companies global. Never stay in Japan.
Well, but I'm from the bigger banks groups,
Right.
and normally the Japan's investors too risk-averse, and so I want to ask Kei that do you feel that Japanese investors are very active in the climate tech?
Well, I think it's more active than before, much more. So when we try to fundraise, we had a lot of discussion with Japanese general venture capitals as well. Not only the climate-focused VCs, but actually I also feel that Japanese VCs kind of lack their knowledge about some deep tech of the climate tech, like direct air capture or fusion or nuclear. I mean, these kind of new technologies usually, both Japanese startups and investors are kind of lagging behind the global market trends. So usually, when we talk with the investors, compared with the global investors, their kind of viewpoints, knowledge are much less. So it's kind of difficult to nurture serious kind of attraction towards deep tech, climate tech startup like us. And also, as Murat mentioned, I also believe the issue is later stage funding as well. For the seed round, there are actually a lot of venture capitals who want to invest into the deep tech climate startups. However, when we move to the later stage, there are much less venture capitals and also the CVCs. And also, CVCs usually don't do the follow-on in the later stage. Right. So that's the issue. So there should be more later stage VCs. That we fully agree.
If I may add one thing.
Yeah, sure.
So if I were a Japanese entrepreneur in Japan working on a deep tech climate startup, I would really focus on the global markets from day one because when you grow, you need growth capital, which is in the US and Europe, not in Japan. So I would hedge my future while focusing on the global markets from day one. So, Kei-san, 頑張ります。
よろしくお願いします。
So Kei-san, so could you tell us about your, specific plans or any challenges in the future?
Yes, sure. So actually, I want to take the conversation Murat-san had. So global expansion is a key, not only for us but also for the climate tech startups. I think in order to really become a unicorn startup, because Japanese market is very small, and I would say the policy is a bit behind compared with the global market. So yeah, and also Japanese kind of a geological situation, the condition is not favorable for example, like renewable energy or even for the direct capture, because how we makes the carbon credit is to capture CO2 and store CO2 underground. However, in Japan, there are very limited suitable sites for this kind of CO2 storage. So in order to scale up our business, we have to expand to the global market. And we have some plans. So from the actually year one of our launch, we have been visiting United States, of course, and also some other potential direct capture hubs, for example, like Australia, Norway, these kind of countries we have been visiting. And also, we are trying to connect with global players in this industry. For example, last year, we were accepted by the Direct Capture Academy program, which is backed by the Department of Energy in the United States. And also, last month, actually, we were accepted by the Bosch Carbon Capture Startup Challenge. There were more than like 300 applicants, and we were selected as only one startup from Asia. This kind of, concrete plan to develop our technology in the global market is necessary. And then, the challenge what we have to overcome is first fund, of course. So there are very limited later stage VCs in Japan, so we have to really gather all the money we can gain to really scale up our business, because we expect more than $100 million in order to really achieve the target we are having. And second, actually this is a very critical issue, but the limited human resources in Japan. Actually, this means there are a lot of talented, business persons and also talented scientists, engineers in, Japanese monozukuri industries. However, it's very conservative labor market. So even though, we have a very unique technology, and even we have funds from the top VCs in Japan and also Japanese government funding, it's quite difficult to recruit the engineering scientists, because Japanese labor market is really limited. So we really need some kind of dynamics in the labor market. This is our second challenge. And third is policy support. Actually, in order to scale up the deep tech, climate tech startups, we really need the policy support, not only money, but also like regulations and also the support for the expansion, because Japanese, geological conditions is not always suitable for those kind of deep tech, climate tech. So for example, our technology is very favorable for the countries where renewable energy is abundant and also the storage site is available. So that's why we are going to these kind of countries like US, Canada, Australia. But the issue is, in order to help Japanese companies, we have to transfer the carbon credit from these countries. But there is no bilateral agreement or the multilateral agreement to transfer the carbon credit. So that's why it's quite difficult for us to expand our business. There should be these kind of bilateral agreements with like these global allies and makes favorable conditions for the startups to expand.
Yoshitaka-san,
Yeah,
if I
yes.
may ask you a question about this, because you are the expert on carbon credits.
Yeah.
So his point is very, very interesting. Like, if you create a carbon credit in Japan, can you sell it in the US like today? How does it work?
But so far, in 2026, the Japanese government installed the emission trading scheme, in 2033, it's going to be auctioning, and then definitely the carbon pricing is installed in our market and economic market. But globally, so far, the main purpose of the emission trading scheme is to achieve our goals in 2030 and 2050. So, voluntary carbon credits, like from the overseas, it's quite slowly.
Any
introduced.
chance of integration globally?
No, so far the government is now thinking, but not so soon.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm so
Actually,
surprised to be asked.
I think some was 3 months ago, the energy master plan, seventh energy master plan was approved by the cabinet, and in that energy master plan, direct capture is mentioned, and also what is unique, interesting is it's mentioning that direct capture is not probably suitable for Japanese environment, so maybe it's better to do it outside Japan and make a mechanism to trade the carbon credit from outside and to be integrated in the compliance market, ETS market in Japan. So this kind of policy support is now kind of discussed, but it's not concrete yet. So I really appreciate if you could talk with the government as well.
Okay.
So Yoshitaka-san is
listening,
an
I'm listening.
expert in carbon
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah.
That's why we're asking her questions.
Exactly.
Okay, almost. Okay, I'm listening. Okay. Definitely a DAC and the CCS is a potential sources of the carbon credits in the future, definitely. Okay. Well, we have not so much time left, and thank you both for this deep and inspiring discussion. And today we heard that decarbonization is not just carbon emission reduction. It's about redesigning the economic system and rethinking the finance and reimaging in the future, actually. So maybe each of you, just final comment. Maybe we have maybe 3 minutes each. So could you please give some
Okay. So
message? And actually, I want you to show your raising fund history and your plan toward the IPOs. You don't have?
This one, yeah.
Yeah. Just.
sorry, your question was to explain about the fundraising.
Yeah, a little bit, and the final comment to the audience.
So do your pitch to raise money.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So, well, okay. Actually, some people think direct capture is quite a difficult technology to invest at this current moment because, as Murat mentioned, the policy in the United States is getting changed, and also, this technology is still very expensive. However, it means there is also an opportunity because there is always a chance if there is the risk, and we are facing a big risk in this market of direct capture and carbon credit, and as a kind of a vice versa, there are, for example, countries like Canada or Australia, which elected very, climate tech friendly parties getting elected as their, governmental, the prime minister and the president. And also there are some movements in Europe to reflect, what's happening in the US and make more, support for these kind of new climate tech innovative solutions. And Japanese government is also following this movement. So it will take time to really achieve what the direct capture or other deep tech startup should be, because it's a deep tech, and there are many issues we have to solve in the technical field and also the policies. However, for example, direct capture's market will be more than trillion by 2050, and if we can really make it, we can take this huge market. So there will be a chance to be more than unicorn for the startups and the investors to gain the capital gain. We share our technology with Zeolite, can be the #1 in the market, and really achieve the net zero with our technology. So we have already raised 5.5 million from the Japanese top VC, JAFCO-san and Spiral Capital-san, and also governmental support like NEDO-san and the Ministry of Economy. However, in order to really scale up our technology, as I mentioned, we need more money. So we will do our fundraise in 2026. So Murat-san and all the investors here, please join our next round if you could believe us.
How much are you raising?
Hopefully 10 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next
Great.
slide is your roadmap to the IPO. No, you don't.
Well, it's much. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I just you should show the potential investor here to your plan.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So I want to mention one thing. Right now, every VC around the world is investing in data center related technology startups. So we have now 7 companies, climate companies in our portfolio, and 3 of them are data center related. And we gave a term sheet last week to a new company. They're also in data centers. So out of 8 portfolio companies, half of them are related to data center technologies. What this means is that we need a lot of new energy for data centers. We need to put those data centers on the grid. We need to figure out how to put them. We invest in a company called GridAstra. They do that. We invest in a company called Taurus. It's a battery company. They power data centers. We are investing in a new company from Europe, and they are optimizing energy for data centers by looking at like the weather forecasts for the next day, changing the HVAC settings, and also seeing like how they can use less energy. So that is really the biggest pain point right now. The second one is really like battery technologies, long duration storage, utility scale storage. I think Japan has a very promising future there. But one new thing is very interesting, which is geothermal. Geothermal means like hot water coming out from the ground with pressure, and it like spins a turbine and you create energy from it. Now, something very interesting happened in the world. We took some oil and gas technology, which is fracking, which is like you push high pressure water into the ground, into the cracks, and like oil comes out, right? So using oil and gas technologies, enhanced geothermal was invented. So geothermal always was very expensive because you have to dig a well like really deep. So it was super expensive, was not practical. But enhanced geothermal is now very cheap. And we are seeing geothermal as like the next big breakthrough technology. And we are looking at some startups. And geothermal can actually like provide 80% of data center energy in 10 years. So I think Japan, being very volcanic, has a huge advantage for geothermal technologies. But I would like to finish in the last 1 minute and 42 seconds. I have 3 messages. Who are the Japanese founders here? Japanese founders in the audience? Okay. Well, okay, most people are not listening. But please build for the global audience. I think, Kei-san, you should have a US customer pilot and a European pilot as a hedge. To CVCs, please take much, much more risk, 10x more risk. It's going to pay off strategically and financially. And to the government, please make it much more easier to invest in startups. Angel investing in Japan does not exist. Japan has the biggest savings in the world. Like,
Right.
Japanese people love to save money. They should invest in startups. Angel investing in the US is what makes the US economy the #1 startup economy in the world. So like 3 messages: build globally, take more risk, and to the government, please enable angel investing.
Right. Wow, thank you very much, Murat. Actually, before this session, these days I'm so depressed because of the current news by the U.S. But today, your message and Kei-san's in business, I'm very encouraged. And Japan has many potential to, develop more green technology as well as the climate tech. Thank you very much. So now we are finished up this session. Thank you very much. Please join me giving a big applause to our fantastic panelists. And thank you very much for the participating session audience. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。皆さん改めて大きな拍手お願いします。Another round of applause. Thank you.